That David sent him on. Sorry, it was my bad. I get it out. David had said it. I just had forwarded it to everybody.
No problem. It looks like it worked. Okay, well, here we are. Happy 20,225.
I think you got that right.
20,000.
2025. Yeah.
Getting older and older. Anyway, first meeting of the year for the P&E group, Monday, January 6th. Welcome to all of you who are listening in. Call this call to order and open it for any public or committee comments. Seeing a lack of abundance.
We have one.
Oh, here we go.
Here we go.
So I think it's worth mentioning that we skinnied down to 3 committee meetings
Yes.
in this cycle. So it generally, plant and equipment now will contain a lot of items that were previously covered under water supply. So
Okay.
just so you know.
All right.
All right.
That's fair. We weren't using the full allocated time for a P&E typically.
Well,
anyway,
I like that idea too, because if the meeting did run over, then you don't have the second meeting waiting right behind. And for public's sake, the same thing. If they're coming from one meeting, they sit through, So I think it's going to work out real well. So if it does go long, it goes long.
Yeah. Okay.
Depends how
Thanks
much
for
you want
doing
to talk.
I'm really fortunate that I opened up
The
the
Yeah.
email this morning because I was in Bakersfield. And
Oh, were you?
visiting with family. I was planning to come home today, but I wasn't really planning to be here until about
Well,
4 o'clock.
we're glad you're here.
Who would run the meeting?
Yeah, that's right.
Okay. Oops, sorry. I digress. Well, thanks for that comment, George. Okay, item number 3, award of contract, interior recoat of the Gateway Reservoir.
All right, you have a memorandum, whatever you can call it, in front of you.
Oh, yeah.
It explains this. Do you remember we have now a new reservoir up there, 1 million gallon reservoir. So the older one was taken offline after the new one was put in service in order to do some piping modifications. But we also noticed interior, some significant delamination around the interior of the tank. So we asked J. Cologne Coatings, who did the recoating of the tank back in 2014, to come up and take a look at it. And he recommended just recoating the shell part of the tank. It didn't need a full recoat, and we should get maybe 8 or 10 more years out of it. And that they could do that for $84,000. So we attempted to get quotes from a couple other companies, just kind of for the same thing, but it really isn't an apples to apples comparison, unfortunately, we couldn't get. So we did budget $100,000 to do this work. So staff is recommending we go ahead and just stick with J. Cologne Coatings. They gave us that quote of $84,000 last year, and they are sticking with it and said they can do it this year too, and they put that in writing to me. So we would like to get that work done soon.
Okay, I got
Okay, could you explain a little bit about what we're not getting? It says the shell. Is that both inside, outside?
No, just interior.
This is all interior?
Yeah.
Okay.
Basically the walls.
The wall, okay.
So it's
Thank
not
you.
the roof, it's not the floor, just the walls.
Okay.
Yes.
Is the tank in good shape?
Otherwise, yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, okay. I just want to be sure. I know we added the 1 million gallon next to the 500,000, I guess.
Yes. 550,000.
Yeah, and it's in good shape. That's the main thing up there. Okay.
Is there any rust on the outside of the old reservoir? It seems like there may have been some spots when we.
I don't know what's on the outside of the reservoir.
Okay.
I don't know.
Yeah.
How much life will this get us?
About 8 to 10 more years on the
Oh,
on the
really?
coating. Yeah.
Right.
Oh, well, that's a good pay.
Mhm.
That's a
I
good
think
rate.
that's a good payback.
Yeah, it's a good deal then at that, 8 or 10
I mean,
years.
they do have to be, redone, repaired every once in a while.
Right.
But it was a little surprising. He thought to, and he was going to talk to his paint supplier and see what they thought. But
How old was the other coating? Do you know?
it was 2014, so we got
14.
about 10 years out
Oh, you
of
got
it.
about, okay, 10 years on.
Hmm.
And they're okay with the floor? Because my experience usually, the
They
floor,
actually came out and took a look at it.
really?
And they were the only ones that really
Nothing's
came out.
chipping, nothing's bubbling,
They
nothing's,
thought it was, the rest was okay.
okay. All right.
I think we originally got 8 years out of it because about 2 years ago that they first found
Yeah, it
it.
was about 2 years ago, yeah.
But it was the interior, in fact, it's only like maybe a quarter to a third of the wall that's
Yeah, it's not the entire
delaminated.
thing. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
The section of it that's delaminated.
I see. And when you do that, you have to do the whole thing
Yeah.
anyway. Exactly.
What do you need from us today, Renee?
A recommendation to award contract to J. Cologne Coatings for $84,000.
Okay.
Is that, procedural wise, is that proper in terms of the other ones quoted both the shell and the floor? Did they insist upon that? Did they not want it? How did that end up like that? I just want to make sure that we're not going to have one of them come back to us and say, hey, by the way, I didn't get a chance to bid just on the coating for the shell.
You can see the difference in the prices. They're pretty different. It was hard. I don't know why we would request just the shell and we would always get the shell on the floor.
Yeah, because it looks like the shell's about $60,000. If the 84 for the shell, then the floor looks like it's about $60,000 is what they're throwing in there for that type of thing. And Jay Colin's already been there.
Yes,
And
they did several of our tanks that we had the old kind of tar type coating in back in 14, and they removed all that and then put the new epoxy coatings.
Now, I have no problem with it as long as it meets all the procedures for doing this, for bidding and such, and that's up to the staff to make.
In my
that
opinion, I
decision.
think it's something we should look at in the future, our bidding requirements.
You think
and things
so?
like that. Well, it hasn't been looked at least in the almost 20 years I've been here.
Really?
Um,
Yeah.
The requirement that anything over 100,000 go to a formal bid and have to be advertised in the paper and all that. It just isn't kind of up to date to kind of the way things are done these days.
And I see based on that, this is under $100,000, so
Yes.
it didn't have to essentially go out to bid.
Correct.
And I know that Renee asked them to give us the shell price and this
Oh.
is what they gave us. So
Yeah.
Wonder why that is. The reason I'm asking is did they think something was wrong?
They
with the
never
floor?
looked at it. So no,
Okay, all right.
they did not
Oh,
come
in
and
that
take a
case-
look. Jay Cologne was the only one who actually came in person to look at it.
Well, okay, well, in that case, I don't have a problem with recommending that we move ahead with this.
Is the material that's used for the shell and the floor the same?
Yes.
Okay, so if they spill a little bit while they're doing the walls, it's not a big deal.
Or if they have some left over, they just,
It won't hurt the floor if they
No.
spill some. There's some- Yeah, okay,
Kick a few cans over.
right?
do they sandblast it first or
You
walnut
can
shell
bet on-
blast, whatever they use
Yeah.
these days?
Don't ask me to do it.
There's
I do it on
preparation,
floors.
yeah, and several different coatings and things.
Okay. Yeah, I don't see, I think that we ought to recommend awarding this.
Yep, I agree. So
All right.
Do we need a motion or just
No, just a
an
recommendation.
agreement from the
Yeah.
committee? I think you have.
I think you
your-
need a motion. Well, I mean, the
Okay.
minutes will just say
Well-
that the committee recommended.
The committee, yeah,
The
we just say
board
the committee
awarded.
recommended
Yeah, I think
on the,
I think
on-
the
If you two agree, that's all I need.
that's all we need, yeah.
committee recommends you move forward.
All right.
On this project.
Thank you.
Okay, number 4, award of contract for Dune Project Construction and Grant Management.
Okay, so GHD is a consulting engineering firm. They've been doing all the design and stuff for the Dune 3 project. And our intent is to use them for project management, grant management, and they did send us a contract for the district to review because we'll have a contract with them, even though they will be billing everything to the grant. So Jim, over the holidays, took a look at it, has several things he wants to discuss with George and I. So we're doing that after our meeting today at 4. So we're going to probably just send this straight to the board at this point, because, like I said, normally P&E would have been on a Tuesday. And we would have been okay. But yeah, at this point, I told Jim, I think if we're okay with going forward, we'll just put it on the board agenda.
GHD, they're project managers? Is
They're a
that-
consulting engineering firm, kind of like Krieger and Stewart is.
Okay.
Yeah.
And we're using them on the
They,
Dune 3?
right now, the state is using them.
That's what I was going to ask, if it's a state, so the state is using them, okay.
They
Yes.
did the design, you said?
Yes,
They've already done the design.
they've done the design and they're going to do the bidding and all
Okay.
that. So they're going to handle everything with that project, the grant management, the construction inspection and all that kind of stuff.
Per
All the-
state requirements, so
Yes.
there's not a lot we can
Yes.
say that we don't want them.
They'll do the reports on the grant, billings, all
Right.
that stuff.
Okay.
So you'll have a chance to look at it. If we go forward, it'll be in the board package.
You'll have it by then? Okay,
Mhm.
all right.
And do you need anything from us today?
Not at this point. Is this for me just to let you know that that's why it wasn't,
Okay.
you haven't looked at it yet.
All right, thanks, Renee.
Mhm.
Item 5, contract approval, district contract with Hometown Water Association.
So 5 and 6, both were, we're waiting on approved contract language from the state. I was told last month we'd have it by the end of December, but we did not receive it. So I had left it on the agenda just in case,
Okay.
before I left for the holiday. So
Okay.
those will be hopefully back next month.
Okay, so you'll bring it back here so we can look at it and then make recommendations to sign.
Let's
Yeah.
hope so. Let's hope
Yeah.
they get it to us by next month.
Yeah, because it'd be a shame to during a board meeting, have the board members starting to read these things and decide
No.
whether they want to approve them or not at that time.
Yeah. they're a little
Okay, so
sidetracked.
well, yeah, the state's busy right now. They're trying to figure out how to protect our state, I guess.
Right.
I won't say
Yeah,
anymore.
against that.
Yeah,
ominous back
I know. Okay,
Item number 7, recycle water feasibility study, excuse me.
I left this on, George,
Yeah,
since,
and I would say I got back to work. I have not seen emails from any of our consultants regarding this, so I do not have an update at this time.
okay. Yeah, we're going to keep it on here because we're going to keep pursuing that project and to the end, either it's done or it's not done.
We're essentially awaiting a cost proposal from Krieger and Stewart, working with their subcontractor who
To-
does that type of.
To full design and, wow, you're going to do a full design and cost estimate before you start, never mind.
I'm trying to figure out what's some cost before you buy it.
Yeah,
How do you-
I know, it's a good idea.
Okay, sounds good. I'm glad it's on there, and yes, it's kind of, I
Yes.
think it is important, so having visibility for that.
What?
Sorry?
Yours isn't working.
Oh, my mic's not working?
mm-mm.
Okay, number 8, Northwest Transmission Pipeline Replacement Project.
So the contractor's working on punch list items. They've removed, I believe they've removed most of the old pipe off the right of way. I haven't had a chance to get an update. We have
It's gone, yeah.
requested this morning that the contractor update us on several items and haven't heard back yet. We did approve their time extension to the end of February so that they can complete all their items and do any work that Caltrans is requiring of them out there. So that's where we're at this time.
Where's the pipe going?
It's going to a parcel that the contractor purchased south of Inyukern right now. They're staging it there, and then their intent is to prepare it for recycling there.
We have legal looking into that.
Yeah,
Yeah, I'm just hoping that it just doesn't end up being a pile of pipe out there that gets our name tacked to it.
Well, it's,
There have been some posts on Facebook and some other things. I believe we actually got a formal question as well from the public about
I
that.
think-
I had a phone call,
Phone call.
and I think that they were thinking that the contractor was, quote, dumping the pipe, but they're not. It is their property that they
They're
own.
storing it.
Yeah, they're storing
And
it.
it's
not
okay with the county. Well, you don't know that.
well,
They
it's
should,
private land.
what's that?
It's private land.
Well, still, but there's still some restrictions out there and such. I mean, you can't buy some private land and turn into a pipe storage area or a dump, let's say.
Well,
Right.
type of
Jim has spoken to the county
Yeah,
about
so
that.
Okay,
and
We're gonna rely on legal
Yeah.
legal is researching.
He's looking at having some kind of an agreement between the district and the contractor that they agree within a certain time period to properly, legally be sure it's disposed of.
God, I hope so. You're gonna have to keep an eye on that one.
No, I'm with you. I'm with you, Ron.
Yeah.
Matter of fact, I raised the issue with our new president.
Yeah.
That
And-
we
and also-
might actually want to put together a press statement informing the public what's going on. Because if you drive down that road, was that Red Rock?
Red Rock Canyon.
Yeah, Red Rock
Road,
Road.
yeah.
It's 2 miles, almost to the dot, south of the Caltrans station. And you can see it from Red Rock Road.
That's the road that goes by Fire Quick, isn't it? Red Rock
Yes.
Canyon Road goes, and so
Same one.
that's,
So
that's their land, or was. They probably purchased a parcel of it from them.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So it's about 2 miles out. and
Yeah.
You can see it from the road. It's, it's a
yeah.
it's a big pile,
40-acre parcels.
40-acre parcel. And I have received a couple of calls because I've, got a lot
Okay.
of people live in general out in the Inyukern area, and they were watching the pipes being moved.
Hauled out
So
there.
what the hell, right? So I get
Yeah.
these calls and I
Okay.
didn't have an answer for them. So I called Dave and I said, look, it's, I think what is going on, they don't have the contract to have this stuff disposed of in place.
Right.
The guy that they had that with before
Backed out.
dropped the ball or whatever.
Mhm.
So got all that, but we still have this image that we've got this pile out there, and it's, the longer it sits there, the more people are gonna be, when's this gonna go
Who
away?
told me Bertrand offered to take that from them and
That's
and
true, but they
dispose-
didn't want to pay the price that Bertrand wanted. It was too
Okay,
expensive.
Bertrand was wanting too much money, okay. All
So,
right.
and I will say, they requested that they could put the pipe onto our property. We said we would accept that if they would, we'll wait their final payment until such time as it was all gone off our
Ah.
property, and they went, that's a deal. I think they said that was sort of a deal breaker for them, because I think their final payment is in the $300,000 plus category. They weren't willing to wait, so we declined to let them put them on our property and pay them in full for the contracts. We felt they were, they did offer, they're like, oh, we'll give you a $100,000 or whatever, some sort of negotiated
A bond.
bond, and I didn't want to deal with that, trying, if they did, for whatever reason, leave it there, and then we had to go after the bond to get the money, it just seemed like not a
Oh, yeah.
wise decision on our part. Their contract was to get rid of it. We want to see them do that.
What's our leverage though, once we make final payment? I mean, if they decided.
None, I don't think.
I think the leverage becomes county code enforcement.
Yes.
There's, you can't just take a piece of property and do that. You have to get conditional use permits and other.
Dale
things.
Howard did.
And I'm not going to say that people don't do that, but,
Yeah.
from a district liability standpoint, and I'm not the lawyer, from a liability standpoint, I think we're taking every possible measure to make sure that everybody understands what's going on, and that if that is their plan, that it is within legal bounds and limits, and, that it's not going to somehow come back onto us. That's obviously our concern.
You said Jim's looking into.
Yes.
Whatever.
He has, yes.
Okay.
Whatever liabilities we may have or may not have.
And he might have more on that by the
Is-
board
Maybe
meeting.
by Monday, yeah.
Mhm.
Is the pipeline, when's it gonna be operational? I got a smile down there. What's that mean? Is that a good smile or a bad
There
smile?
are some checklist items that they need to get accomplished.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Hopefully,
Like I said, we
Well-
gave him an extension till the end of February.
yeah, so that means we bring it to the board in March for acceptance, and then we can take it and do what we need to do and have it up maybe by April.
Is the plastic bag still one of those issues?
What plastic bag?
We'll talk about that.
They sent Chris, the little guy, IT, he's in there now. He's in there.
Yeah, there's still some flushing that has to be done.
Yeah.
Still,
So is that something we can't talk about, or what's the?
we
It-
can, but
But it's a responsibility.
we don't want people to get concerned about it because it's going to be removed, so.
Right.
Okay.
But that's a responsibility of
Any debris that
Yeah.
could possibly be in the pipe will be removed before we take it in service.
Yes.
One way or another.
All right,
How's
but
that?
they are still working that. so-
That's
Yes,
correct.
they are. And we have requested an update on their plan for that.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, keep a close eye on them. You don't want them coming up and say, look, I found it.
Yeah, no,
Yeah.
Okay.
No, I understand, because you always get debris in all those construction projects and all got to be removed and all flushed out of there.
Yeah.
And then once they turn it over to us, Jason, we have to
When they turn it over to us, we are going to flush it
flush it.
and
Yeah.
we'll disinfect, make sure everything is up to our standards before we put it into the system.
And so the latest, we just want it in operation by summertime.
We want, like George said, we want to make sure all the debris is gone from the
Yeah.
pipe. Then once we're assured of that, we can begin our system, our
Okay. All right.
procedures.
Okay, sounds good. Item number 9, water system consolidations.
Okay, so we already talked about the agreements.
Right.
With Hometown and Dune 3, just waiting on the state for their approval of the language. Let's
Will we cover
see,
Rodebacher under this?
I will cover
Oh,
Rodebacher,
okay.
yes. District Legal Counsel has drafted a right-of-way agreement that can be used for all of our projects. And we are reviewing that, and one of the engineers with GHD is also reviewing that with me because we're gonna be using that for Dune 3 also. Rademacher, Krieger and Stewart continues working on phase 2. We've got potholing that needs to be done, so this week we'll be out there marking out for USA tickets, locates, so the potholing can be done and the design can be completed. I sent out easement documents to 5 property owners last month for easements for the new pipeline. I've heard back from 1 so far. Let's see, and that's it.
What's our latest wag at the cost estimate? It is varied. It started out at a few $100,000, went up a bit of $1 million, then came back
Both-
down.
For both phases?
Yeah, for both phases. When we're
It
all-
hasn't changed from what we put out before, which
that-
was
that-
like, like 3 million?
I can't get with the total.
I can't
would
remember,
say it's
honestly, I haven't looked
yeah.
at it in a while,
Yeah.
George, but we haven't changed it, but Krieger Steward's also working on a cost estimate, to help Stetson out with finding money for the changeovers that have to occur between the meter and the homes.
Good.
Right, that was.
Yeah. So,
Okay.
there might be a pot of money elsewhere that they can look for that, and they just
Should-
need to have a cost estimate.
I just wanted the board to be aware that, it's an expensive project for, it's going to be somewhere in the $1 million+ range when it's all said and done, even though we're doing the work in-house, which is probably as well. And what are we picking up? 5 or 6 connections?
Yeah.
Yeah, so it's
Plus a possibility of, there's some other like,
the good-
properties out there that could hook
yeah,
up also.
And the good news is that the state funds are paying for it in full, and it's taking people who currently have water that probably would not be in compliance with state requirements and putting them on a good water system. But
Mhm.
those, gives you an idea that that's an expensive process.
But from our pipeline to the house, the meter, including the thing, the house isn't paid for in this project. They have to find that money elsewhere.
Correct.
So I want to be sure.
Yep.
Yeah. Whether it be the household, just like if you're building a house, you're responsible for the meter and the
Yeah.
piping to the house.
Yes. Mhm.
Okay. I keep getting these things from April to DocuSign to approve our agreement for them to reimburse. I think they're old. I don't know, because when you do
Oh,
DocuSign,
I know, that's all
you
fine.
get on a list and it keeps coming to you until it's finally signed. At some point, it says, well, you're not going to sign it. We're going to take you off the list.
Far
That's
as
where I
know,
think,
that's
because I
something
signed it.
that's
I remember
done. Yeah,
it's all signed. Okay. I just want to be sure.
we've submitted an invoice to them for reimbursement already.
I think I sent her an email saying, please, this has already been signed and done. Remove this. So
Please cancel.
please cancel it. 'Cause I don't know how long it keeps coming to me all the time. Okay, great. All right.
You can mention it to her at the GA meeting, maybe on Wednesday if you go.
Yeah, maybe that's this Wednesday too.
Mhm.
Yeah. I don't know, judging from what happened the last one, I don't know if I want to set foot in there.
George, I don't know if you or Jace have anything new on Inyakern.
Yeah, I'm
I
glad you brought
haven't, I
that
don't
up.
have anything, but do you? Inyakern to CSD?
Other than.
We usually cover it
we got
under
a-
here.
Well, is up and operational there. That's the last thing that I know at this point
They
in
haven't
time.
called us for anything.
I know Colleen, their general manager, sent us a note saying that.
Farewell note.
She sent us a farewell note. So they are now down to 1 employee and a contractor doing the rest of the work.
Yeah, Skookum is doing the sampling and most of the work that requires the certification stuff, and like especially the wastewater. And then they have 1 employee that works on the actual water
Sounds to me like they
operations.
want to tackle it themselves. They're trying their best to. Did you ever find out what that phone number is I gave you for that? I have no idea who that was.
No.
Did you run that name by Jason? Maybe you would recognize it?
I have not yet, it was on a
Let me see.
long list of things I needed to do.
Yeah, I get somebody sent me, it was an email, that's right, because I copied you in on it.
Yeah,
And I couldn't figure out who this woman was.
it has a phone number and I will call
Yeah.
out this meeting. I just
You
forgot.
want to do it offline?
Yeah. Yeah,
What's that?
Do it
Yeah.
offline.
let's go ahead and end the meeting and then we'll get to that.
Yeah, okay.
It's probably something
Not going to
about,
give me, I just want to know because it was a contact from them. I don't know who it was for them is all. Okay.
something about your car warranty insurance.
Yeah. Oh, okay, all right. So no more on Inyakern, no word from them or anything or
That's,
call
No,
for help?
But I mean,
that's surprising.
this is the part of the year where you're supposed to be doing your maintenance to get ready for summer. So we'll see what happens when summer actually comes.
Okay, get ready for exciting summer.
I mean, I know there's still a lot of work to be done out there.
Mm-hmm.
The other well's still down. Their SCADA system is really non-operational. So they're doing a lot of stuff by hand,
Okay,
which is not something you're going to be able to do in the summertime.
Yeah, they were really, when we had the control panel open while we were there and the guy's scratching his head, it's just so, it's a nest of wires, right? And no logical,
a
well,
lot,
and no schematic apparently either. So he's like, I don't know what to do with this.
Yeah.
But But I guess they get new well in. They were putting in the pump, I'm sorry, new well. They were putting in the pump while we were there. Garrison was, then they had a delay because the top nipple that they needed replaced.
Yeah, they ultimately worked through all those issues and
Got that.
now they have the well working and I assume at this point they have their fingers crossed.
Yeah.
Things continue to
Are
work.
they sending us some money for the money due?
We've got bills out to the
Self-help.
self-help program and some of them have been paid, I believe, initially.
Okay.
the
Oh,
first
okay.
couple. So
All right.
there is, our assistance is being reimbursed, but not a lot of calls recently for
Okay.
additional assistance.
Well, I can understand. They're probably they're gonna do everything they can to make this work themselves, and they just have to prove to the state they can do it. And we'll just sit back and wait.
But who's the steward? I mean, you just painted a pretty grim picture when you said there's one worker and then. and you
The
just got a
board,
farewell letter from-
essentially, the board itself is now responsible for running the district
Okay.
at this point,
Oh, my God.
administratively, I think. I mean, I don't know.
Administratively.
You better
yeah.
be ready. Who knows? They may call us out there and start doing stuff. Yeah.
Yeah,
turn bells and.
So when you talk to the state and they go, well, what happens if you don't have anybody there except a mechanic? They go, well, we'll make the board do it.
Okay.
Interesting dynamic.
Yeah, interesting.
watching from
All
the
right.
outside.
All right.
Okay. Keep our fingers crossed for that.
Yeah.
Okay, item 10, future agenda items. Yeah.
Nothing new. I can tell you what I still kind of have on the list just to keep
Let's-
track of.
Let's
Oh,
hear it.
please.
Yeah.
The La Mirage housing area grant funding for
Yeah.
the replacement of all our facilities out there. I was told at one time, once we signed agreements for these consolidations, that another pot of funds could come available for that. So I'll follow up on
That's gonna be
that.
an expensive project though, isn't it?
Yes.
Yeah.
Inspection of other transmission pipelines. Still looking at, getting prices. I thought Justin was getting updates on the prices, but I'll have to.
Okay.
Springer Pipeline
Oh, yeah.
schedule. I know potholing still has to be done out there in order to finish that design. And then any infrastructure upgrades needed to accommodate imported water is on our list still, George.
I thought Stuart and Krieger went through that, or was that just a mad dash at
I
it?
think it was like preliminary.
Because I have the list with the totals on, it came up to about $25 million total. But you're going to get that nailed down, so we have,
I think that was the intent,
okay.
depending on how things move forward.
Yeah, we don't know how it's going to move forward.
When it comes closer to time of us doing the media, we'll put the arsenic plants back on the agenda as well.
Okay.
Yes, that was pulled off right now because it's winter and there's nothing going on right now.
Do you want to leave these on as, I don't know, items to be discussed if necessary? You know what I'm
There's
saying, so we don't lose
placeholders.
track of them, like, you
Possible.
can call them placeholders if you want.
Yeah.
I like them on, in writing, so I can see them each time,
Yeah,
and
they're in the minutes.
they're in the
They're
minutes as well,
possible
yeah.
future agenda items, yes.
And-
I'm
not to do-
guessing, looking at the list, that the Springer schedule might be the most urgent one. I mean, once the pipeline at Intercurrent Road
The
gets
Springer
replaced.
schedule pipeline has a lot to do with when that one finally gets operational.
Uh-huh.
And it may not be till next winter just based on its need.
Hmm.
And we're gonna run it parallel to the current one, but when we do the tie-ins and everything, we'll probably have to have that offline, and that's not something we can do in the summer.
Okay. All right.
And I was going to ask about I realized when we talked about the cost for the intertie, if it ever occurs. I got to ask the question today that, what does that do to the way we have to operate? Is there a cost associated with that in operations now that we're handling surface water? Should that somehow be a sub-A of this? Because, yeah.
Engineering wise, I don't know how we would operate, because the way our system operates now is water flows from the southwest well field and
Right.
fills up Ridgecrest Heights tank. When that gets to a certain point, an altitude valve closes, and then the water is forced to the rest of the valley going east.
Right.
Bringing water in to another tank there, I'm not sure how that's going to be pushing water.
You don't know the
I don't
operational.
know.
That's, again, that's an important thing, because operationally speaking is, let's say that tie-in occurs and we don't need it. We don't need the water. For some reason, boom, we don't need it. We're not going to shut off our wells. So which wells get shut off and who pays and how does that work? I think that I don't know it needs to be done now, but I think as we look at not only the cost for the intertie, what are the operational aspects of, and what that could potentially cost us? Because I can't imagine they say, well, you have to take this water and shut your wells down for 6 months. We all know what that means. You see, so those are the kind of things that I'm getting asked by one of the council members, and because he's taking a good interest in saying, wouldn't it be better just to inject it for the whole valley? And so he wants to know more about how it affects us. So Jason, something you can mess with. I don't want to get real formal about it yet, but I think I'd like to know because I picture here comes X amount of water, and we say, well, we don't need it. And so what's the option? Stop it here or shut down our wells? And I think shutting down our wells could be pretty costly to us if they're shut down for a long
Yeah,
time.
depending on the length of time they're shut down. I mean, we already have some concerns over 30 and 31 for how long they've been offline.
Yeah.
The Northwest
Yeah,
transmission line. So
exactly.
anytime you have a well down for a considerable amount of time, it can
Anything
run into
mechanical,
issues.
yeah.
Yeah.
It's all about the operations if this thing was to happen. I think we need to be prepared for
So-
that.
I think what we'll do is we'll add an imported water pipeline sort of bullet to this on the agenda in the future so we can discuss it, because we're probably,
Yeah.
I was looking at the agenda here, it doesn't really seem like there's a whole lot of stuff on here that would cover that, so we're gonna add an agenda item so we.
However you
have
want to
those.
do it.
It's on future agendas. George, I kind of have as a placeholder if you want to, whenever we need to, we can put it up onto the agenda.
And I don't want to
Yeah,
sit here and discuss what ifs. If we do bring it up
Yeah,
here,
I think it
and if
was,
you discover something, this is what will happen. I want to deal in facts.
yeah, and I think it was previously on the water supply committee meeting, and maybe it probably needs to be.
I don't
Water
think,
management?
I don't
Water
think,
management, yeah.
I don't know that it hit there yet because now it's becoming the
Because
issue.
water management is no longer gonna be,
No, it's been on here for a while, just as a placeholder.
But I think it's good that you brought it up because I think the important thing is number one is what's the cost of our infrastructure,
Mhm.
capital costs that's going to have to be done, and what are the costs to our operations in terms of money and operation procedures?
And we don't know yet
How does that affect us?
what the state's going to be requiring us to do. as
Yeah,
far as-
there's who knows what. Yeah.
yeah.
Okay.
There's a lot of questions
Okay.
there, like, I don't know if we ever received, we were supposed to get water quality data from Boron some time ago, I don't know if we ever did. Remember, GA was gonna get us all.
I've never received anything.
We've never received, it's like, we made requests to the GA, well, what's the water from AVEC look like? What's it look like at California City? What's it look like at Boron? I don't think we ever received any of that data, so we could actually look at it and determine whether some level of additional treatment was done, but
Yeah.
would be needed, but those are things that have to be looked
But
at.
they were
as well.
gonna, Provost and Pritchard was gonna come up and do some sampling at our well
That's
site.
right.
And they came one time and never came back
Yeah.
again.
They were going to do that for like a whole year.
Yeah.
And when they came up,
Yeah.
you gave them permission to get on our property. What were they looking for then?
They
Remember
were
way back?
coring. They were coring at the.
Coring to see if we
yeah.
get to put tank or something or whatever they need to do out there.
Geotech stuff, yeah.
Geotech stuff like that. Okay, all right. Okay,
Right.
Sounds good. Thank you for keeping us informed and appraised of what we've thought about doing in the past. It just occurs to me that this, the GA is moving forward thinking that, their hookup to our system is the way to go, right? We've got to start
Well,
informing them.
I think that's why the operational aspects, no one's, again, it's ideas for projects without looking at the total project, how it operates, how it's paid for, and what happens. Because if you just say, oh, they're not just going to put a valve out there, we open up when we need water and turn off when we don't.
Right.
They can't do that.
No, they can't.
And so we need to know what that means to us. And I think that is going to be a lot of data that's going to have to be taken into account when someone's trying to say you have to do this or you don't have to do this. Here's what happens if we have to do it. And I don't have a clue on our end. I just picture us having to shut wells down, which just
just
frightens me. Yeah,
And it should.
yeah. Okay.
All right. Well, thank you, everybody. Looks like we're done at 3:34.